What's going on, guys? Thanks for checking out another video today. I had a little bit of time before my guide trip. It's overcast, the tide's high, and I wanted to show y'all how I like to use a topwater plug to locate and catch redfish at high tide. Stay tuned.
Hit it. Nice fish.
All right, so I get a lot of questions through the podcast as well as through the YouTube channel about how to catch redfish at high tide. One of the struggles with targeting redfish at high tide is there's more water, so there is a lot more places that these redfish can go and sit. Essentially, there's kind of three things that I think kind of drive these redfish to where they like to go. One is, where's the food? Two is, where are they safe? And where can they hide? So really that's, I guess, just two. But where can they kind of hide away from dolphins, away from birds of prey, as well as where is the bait? So at low tide, a lot of times you're targeting these fish, you know, in the guts and the deeper pockets in the creeks. But at high tide, I like to use a topwater, a gold spoon, and a spinnerbait to fish for these fish up in these little back flooded pockets. Today we're going to talk about the topwater plug, like I said, and I'm going to kind of explain why these fish like to go up in here. So behind me, I just caught a redfish in here on a topwater plug. I had two more down the bank in a very similar scenario. But I'm in a bay, and I'm fishing the little pockets and the cover in the back little pockets of these bays. So it's a larger bay that extends out here. It's probably the size of 2 or 3 football fields. And all these blow-ups and follows that I've had this morning have been up in these pockets off of the main bay. Not to say you couldn't catch them out here, but I'm looking for this grass that's flooded. I call it broken up grass or grass beds. You've got these little broken up areas of Spartina grass that these fish can easily slide through and swim in. And so they're more laying up at high tide. At a lower tide, a lot of times you'll get fish cruising. These fish are sitting in here a lot like a pike or a bass would, on cover, waiting for bait to come through so that they can eat it. Obviously, a topwater is not as weedless as a spinnerbait or a gold spoon. But if you've got overcast, and especially low light in the morning, but overcast during the day, you get this high tide like this, you can catch redfish on topwater all day long. Just got off the phone with one of my buddies, and they're catching them really good on topwater as well in the exact same setting as this. So a lot of times people are fishing the creeks or fishing that deeper water, but I'm looking for that at high tide, that 1 to 2 feet of water up on these flooded grass beds. So behind me, I've got a little creek mouth that comes out here. I'm sitting, I've got the trolling motor down, like staking me out because I don't have a power pole, on a grass bed. I've got grass beds all throughout this section. And so I'm coming in here and I'm kind of trying to get each little angle. I'm throwing this bait all the way up to the edge of the grass. Heck yeah. Oh, I just hooked one on topwater. Let me run. All right, let it. A lot of times accidentally landing in the grass. The big trick with that is don't try to rip it out, let it land and just rod tip up and slowly roll that bait out of the grass. I'd say about 75% of the time, if you do it slowly, it'll come out without any grass on it. And then you'll work that bait back to the boat. And when you're in these pockets, don't be afraid to work that bait all the way to your rod tip. I've had fish blow the bait up right next to the boat when I've got 2 feet of line out. So obviously, if you're seeing fish busting, you can reel it in real fast and throw it, but don't be afraid to work that bait all the way to the boat. As far as topwater, you know, style and color goes, I really say it's dealer's choice. A lot of times you're going to see me throwing this black, gold, and orange. It's like an 808 color. This is a mirror lure plug, but I fish skitter walks and spooks and all kinds of different topwaters. But that walk the dog cadence when you're up in the grass, it just looks like an injured mullet that's moving through the grass. It's an easy target for these redfish to come out and eat. I'll also fish the points that are out off of these pockets, looking for maybe those more aggressive fish that are sitting out on those edges, a little bit more exposed. A lot of times they'll eat a topwater really well, but the blow-ups that I've had so far today have been back in the pockets. I've had some follows and some fish wake the plug further out, but the fish that want to eat are definitely jammed back up here. It doesn't seem like there's large fish in here today, a lot of puppy drum, but they're definitely eating the plug very, very well. The cadence that I like to, you know, work this topwater plug at is I like my rod tip low and to my left, and just a tick, tick, tick. I really want that plug making nice, slow, wide walks in here. I don't want to stop the plug, though I did have you will have redfish eat the plug when you stop it sometimes, and more times than not, it's hurt me. So just keep that, as soon as you start walking that bait, just walk it all the way back to the boat. A lot of times if a fish blows it up and misses it, or a fish, you know, surges on it, I'll speed that plug up actually, you know, triggering that aggression from that fish. A lot of times you'll get a second bite. The fish are real fired up and they're missing it. They'll sometimes eat it 4 or 5 times before they get it in their mouth. Stealthiness is everything when you're targeting these fish in these shallow little pockets. They're very aware of what's going on when they're sitting still. When they're swimming, they're harder to spook, but when they're sitting and laid up in these pockets, like I said, they're just much more aware of movement, of noise. And so a lot of times what I'm doing is I'm working up to the mouth of one of these pockets, killing my trolling motor. And sometimes I'll spot lock it if I feel like it's not gonna make much noise. Other times I'll just kill it, and I'll kind of fan cast the whole area back and forth. I'll make, 5-10 casts through the area until I feel like I've covered it well. Then I'll back out and move on to the next little section of bank. Covering water is so important with a topwater plug. So do your research on Google Earth, find these bays with these little flooded grass pockets. You're not gonna know exactly what they look like on Google Earth until you've come out here and seen them and then reference them back on Google Earth and go back and look for some other ones. But try to find an area with lots of pockets so you can just consistently keep hitting areas. I've actually got another boat just north of me here doing the same thing. Looks like they're throwing topwater in these pockets, but it's a great way to get out there to search for redfish. A lot of people are intimidated by a topwater plug at first. Don't be afraid to throw it. It's a really good search bait. As long as you've got that cadence down, that walk the dog, that back and forth. Your reeling is really just to keep the slack out. That plug's coming back to you by the motion that you're applying to the rod tip, that tick, 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 tick. Don't set the hook until you feel the pressure of the bait. I tell my clients that all the time. It's really easy as soon as that fish blows it up to want to swing that rod and set the hook, but you want to keep that rod tip down and keep walking it until you feel the pressure of the fish. Then you'll bury the hook. What happens a lot of times is they'll miss it, or they'll pull it down and the hook will slide out of their mouth. They won't have it well, and they'll actually come back and eat it again underwater, just like they would a natural mullet that they've tried to eat that might have escaped. So I don't set the hook until I feel the pressure. A lot of times when they eat a topwater, they're eating it and kind of taking back off. So you'll feel that pressure pretty quickly, but just keep walking that plug until you feel the weight of the fish to set the hook. Guys, I hope that helped explain, how to target these redfish, maybe gave y'all a little bit more confidence for the next time you're out on the water at high tide. Don't be afraid to throw the topwater. It's a great way to locate fish. If you did enjoy this video, smash that thumbs up button. Leave any comments here on YouTube. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can on those. Press that subscribe button, and I will see y'all in the next video. Later.